Queen bee, want no smoke with me. Okay. Been turn this motherfucker up 800 degree. Whole team eat chefs cause she's a treat.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the KBreDazz reaction. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Okay, so it is Tuesday. Alright, so you guys want to see this video. Black Sister Origins Explained. Bellatrix Lestrange, Narcissa Malfoy Andromeda Tonks. Let's get into the video.
The Black family has one of the strongest bloodlines in the Harry Potter series and has a fascinating history. Some of the most fascinating characters from this family, in my opinion, are the Black sisters. This includes Bellatrix Lestrange, Narcissa Malfoy, and Andromeda Tonks. In this video, I'm going to explain the origins of all three of these sisters, starting from their childhood to their final fates at the end of the series.
Can y'all hear it? I can really hear it.
Cygnus Black III and Jarella Rosier, both from pureblood families that have strong connections to Voldemort and his army of Death Eaters, got married and had 3 daughters in the 1950s. Bellatrix, the oldest, Andromeda, the middle, and Narcissa, the youngest. The 3 grew up with a very wealthy lifestyle, being from the pureblood Black family. They were all taught about the importance of blood purity from a young age, and grew up prejudiced in favor of purebloods. Being the oldest, Bellatrix was the first to go to Hogwarts, and was sorted into Slytherin, almost as soon as the sorting hat hit her head. Andromeda followed suit, and was also sorted into Slytherin, and a few years later, Narcissa was too. While at school, Bellatrix quickly became friends with fellow purebloods, who aimed to be Death Eaters and joined Voldemort after they finished school. One of these people was a boy named Rodolphus Lestrange. After they finished their 7 years at Hogwarts, the two got married. But the marriage was nothing more than Bellatrix fulfilling her family's pureblood marriage tradition, and she showed no affection toward him whatsoever, never even mentioning him in conversations throughout the entire series, or bearing him a child. While Bellatrix married out of obligation, Narcissa and Andromeda actually married out of affection. Narcissa married a man named Lucius Malfoy, who she also met at Hogwarts. He was from another pureblood family just as wealthy as the Black family. Bellatrix and Narcissa went down a very different path than their sister. They both supported Voldemort. Bellatrix became a Death Eater, and while Narcissa never officially joined his ranks, her husband Lucius introduced her to the lifestyle of Death Eaters, and she supported her husband, sister, and Voldemort in the crimes that they committed. Andromeda, on the other hand, married a Muggle-born named Ted Tonks, breaking her family's pureblood marriage tradition, and refused to have any part in Voldemort and his army of followers.
So she has some sense.
Because of this, she was disowned by her sisters and the rest of her family. We, Narcissa and I, have never set eyes on our sister since she married the Mudblood. They marked her face out on the Black family tree just like they did Sirius Black's. Andromeda's sisters are still here, because they made lovely, respectable, pureblood marriages. But Andromeda married a Muggle-born, Ted Tonks. So, both Narcissa and Andromeda had kids with their husbands. Andromeda had a daughter that she named Nymphadora Tonks in 1973, and Narcissa had a son 7 years later, in 1980, named Draco Malfoy. The first cousins, Draco and Nymphadora, never met officially, although they did fight on opposite sides during the Battle of Hogwarts many years later, so it's possible that they saw brief glimpses of each other during the battle, but it's unlikely. As I said before, Bellatrix showed no interest whatsoever in her husband Rodolphus. She instead was fully loyal to Voldemort and showed great affection for him. This can be seen very clearly in the way that she acts. Bellatrix leaned towards Voldemort, for mere words could not demonstrate her longing for closeness. She was obsessed with trying to please him, and she might have been the closest thing to affection that Voldemort ever felt for someone other than his snake Nagini. Proof of this is in the way
didn't she just marry Voldemort then?
My lord, it is an honor to have you here in our family's house. There can be no higher pleasure. That means a great deal, Bellatrix, from you. Her face flooded with color, her eyes welled with tears of delight. Voldemort eventually fell at the hands of Harry Potter in 1981, only a few years after Bellatrix and her husband Rodolphus, along with Narcissa's husband Lucius, had joined his crusade. A bunch of Death Eaters were rounded up, Lucius included, but Lucius claimed that he was innocent and was acting under the Imperius Curse that would allow Voldemort to have complete control over Lucius, making him do whatever he wanted him to do.
Scores of witches and wizards have claimed that they only did you-know-who's bidding under the influence of the Imperius Curse. But here's the rub. How do we sort out the liars?
He said that every crime he committed was under Voldemort's Imperius Curse, and he was freed, unlike most of his other fellow Death Eaters. Bellatrix and Rodolphus, along with Bellatrix's brother-in-law Sebastian and Barty Crouch Jr., all avoided capture for some time and continued to look for their master. The Lestranges and Barty Crouch Jr. were branded with being the most loyal to the Dark Lord because they were the only ones that never stopped looking. While they were searching for Voldemort, they went after Frank Longbottom, an Auror for the Ministry of Magic and a member of the Order of the Phoenix, thinking that he had information on the whereabouts of their master. They tortured him for hours, and when he refused to talk, they tortured his wife, Alice Longbottom. The four tortured them so severely that the two were tortured into insanity and became essentially like vegetables. The four were brought before the court at the Ministry of Magic. Unlike other Death Eaters who denied their involvement with Voldemort, the Lestranges proudly claimed that they were loyal to him, especially Bellatrix. As she was sitting in front of the court, she was described as, she was sitting in the chain chair as though it were a throne. The four were all sentenced to life in Azkaban in a unanimous decision. As they were being taken out, Bellatrix yelled to the man that sentenced her, Barty Crouch, "The Dark Lord will rise again, Crouch. Throw us into Azkaban. We will wait. He will rise again and will come for us. He will reward us beyond any of his other followers. We alone were faithful. We alone tried to find him." While their sister went to Azkaban, Andromeda and Narcissa continued to raise their family. Lucius, being free, allowed for him and Narcissa to live a good life and raise their son in a very wealthy household. He was dearly loved and spoiled by his mother, while his father was rather hard on him and preached to him about the importance of blood purity. Andromeda and her muggle-born husband, Ted Tonks, raised their daughter in a household that had far less money, but far better morals and ideals. Their daughter, Nymphadora, who hated being called that,
"Don't call me Nymphadora,"
preferred being called by her last name, Tonks. Tonks went to Hogwarts in 1984 and was sorted into Hufflepuff, and was actually in the same year of Hogwarts as Charlie Weasley, Ron's older brother. Draco went to Hogwarts the year after his cousin finished her 7 years, once again ensuring that they didn't meet. He was sorted into Slytherin and already had friends Crabbe and Goyle that he had known since he was a child because all of their fathers were Death Eaters. Draco continued to be spoiled by Narcissa and Lucius. Examples of this are his parents sending him large expensive care packages, and his father buying the whole Slytherin Quidditch team the newest and best brooms to ensure that Draco would be on the team as Seeker.
Those are Nimbus 2001s. How did you get those?
A gift from Draco's father.
In 1994,
Dude,
Andromeda's daughter, Nymphadora, passed her test to become an Auror after many years of studying under the training of Alistair Moody. Andromeda was proud but often worried for her daughter's safety. During this time, Bellatrix, her husband Rodolphus, and her brother-in-law Sebastian were all locked up in Azkaban, still awaiting their master's return. Voldemort eventually did return to power, and he called all of his Death Eaters back to him. He had this to say about the Lestranges. The Lestranges should stand here, but they are entombed in Azkaban. They were faithful. They went to Azkaban rather than renounce me. When Azkaban is broken open, the Lestranges will be honored beyond their dreams. Voldemort came through with his promise and did a mass breakout of Azkaban, freeing 10 Death Eaters that included Bellatrix, Rodolphus, and Sebastian. 14 years in Azkaban had changed Bellatrix's appearance a great deal. Azkaban had hollowed Bellatrix Lestrange's face, making it gaunt and skull-like, but it was alive with a feverish, fanatical glow. Bellatrix and the others were wanted by the Ministry and had to stay in hiding along with Voldemort, who nobody believed had actually returned, thanks to the Minister for Magic Cornelius Fudge not believing Harry. Andromeda's daughter, Nymphadora, was one of the few Ministry employees who believed that Voldemort really had returned, and she joined the Order of the Phoenix to help fight against Voldemort and his Death Eaters, along with protect the prophecy that had to do with Harry and Voldemort, which Voldemort was desperate to get his hands on. Bellatrix was reunited with her sister and her sister's husband Lucius after she escaped Azkaban, and one night Voldemort sent Bellatrix and Lucius, along with a few others, on a mission to the Department of Mysteries in the Ministry of Magic to retrieve the prophecy about Harry and Voldemort. Narcissa gave Voldemort the information that he needed to get Harry there, when she used her Black family heritage to speak to the Black family house elf, Kreacher, who had been living with the Order of the Phoenix for almost a year, because Sirius had offered his childhood Black family home as headquarters for the Order. Voldemort used the information that Narcissa gave him to get Harry to the Department of Mysteries, where Lucius led the mission, and their mission was to take the prophecy once Harry picked it up, they themselves not being able to pick it up, because a prophecy can only be picked up by a person about who it is made.
Why did Voldemort need me to come and get this?
Prophecies can only be retrieved by those about whom they are made.
When they met Harry and Harry's friends, including Ron, Hermione, Neville, Ginny, and Luna, Bellatrix taunted Harry.
Pretty, baby.
Potter,
along with taunting Neville, making fun of his parents, whom she had tortured into insanity.
Neville Longbottom, is it? How's Mum and Dad?
She later tortured Neville with the same spell that she had used on his parents. Let's see how long Longbottom lasts before he cracks like his parents. Things escalated when Harry and his friends tried to fight back and escape. The Order of the Phoenix showed up, and Bellatrix met her niece Nymphadora Tonks for the first time, and they started to duel. Bellatrix ended up beating and badly injuring Tonks when she knocked her unconscious. Before that though, Tonks was able to stun her aunt's husband, Lucius, which led to his capture. After Bellatrix beat Tonks, she started dueling with her cousin Sirius Black. Sirius started taunting Bellatrix about the Black family and their pureblood beliefs, until Bellatrix got the upper hand and went on the run, and was the only Death Eater to escape being captured by Dumbledore, who had arrived to help the Order. As she was running away, Harry went after her, desperate to get revenge on Bellatrix for killing his godfather. Harry tried to use the torture curse on her, which caused her a few seconds of pain, but then she began to taunt him. Never used an unforgivable curse before, have you, boy? You need to mean them, Potter. You need to really want to cause pain, to enjoy it. I'll give you a lesson. Harry dodged the spell and felt the scar burn, indicating that Voldemort was mad, that he knew that the prophecy was destroyed during the fight. It's gone, and he knows. Your dear old mate Voldemort knows it's gone. He's not going to be happy with you, is he? What? What do you mean? For the first time, there was fear in her voice. Voldemort arrived there, and Bellatrix begged for his forgiveness. Master, I tried. Do not punish me.
Oh, snap, y'all. Okay, so there's gonna have to be a part 2 to this. If you guys want part 2, just let me know down in the comments. This is very interesting. It's like a full-on, like, the Black Sisters, like the worst family fight in the history of fights. Like, it's spells involved, deaths involved, curses involved. Like, it's just one big entanglement. Like, it's crazy. Why didn't Bellatrix like get with Voldemort if it was clear they were like this? I wouldn't even drag the other man along. Like, so Nymphadora, she has to be in Deathly Hallows too when she appears, because I've never seen her in the other ones. It's already really interesting, y'all. Bellatrix is crazy, bro. Andromeda, she don't want to let. She got some sense. She don't got some sense. Yeah. Alright, y'all. If y'all like this video, want a part 2 to this, leave it down in the comments down below. Share, subscribe, push that bell to be notified when this video drops, y'all. This is
Queen bee, want no smoke with me.
Okay.
Then turn his mouth.